Stephen Hawking famously said, "The human race is just a chemical scum on a very moderate-sized planet orbiting around a very average star on the outer suburb of one among 100 billion galaxies. We are so insignificant," he says, "that I cannot imagine that the whole universe what exists for our benefit. That would be like saying you would disappear if I closed my eyes." Yet this is precisely what John Wheeler, a man whose name is virtually synonymous with the best modern physics has to offer, claims. Some background. The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, pioneered by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg in the 1920s and proven by the double-slit inference pattern, shows that what we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. Precisely speaking, it is only the act of registration, or observer participancy as Wheeler calls it, which causes the particle to collapse from a space of potential represented by a wave. Astrophysicist Brian Keating says we live in a quantum universe filled with an infinite expansive tapestry of potentiality, which is then given lattice by the act of registration, necessarily. The question thusly arises, how is a good and intelligible order extracted out from that primordial chaos with which we are constantly confronted into something resembling the order that we see in the known universe, these star systems and galaxies, and the fine-tuning for the emergence of biological life and evolution. Einstein's relativity, as we discussed in our last video, very much suggests the universe is definite and absolute, whereas quantum mechanics seems to suggest it's a little bit more hazy. So how does our experience of objective reality out there arise when the very substance of things is in some sense an extension of our cognitive perceptual syntax? How do we not devolve into solipsism from here? When in fact the universe cannot exist out there independent of acts of registration. How does this objective universe emerge? So Wheeler resolved this seeming paradox through his diagram of the self-excited circuit. In ordinary physical theory, there's no mechanism for the early universe to have tangible reality. The participatory universe, this collapse can be caused retroactively. But the idea is that since the early universe, the universe has expanded and cooled in such a way that marvelously complex structures have emerged, galaxies, star systems, and yet again, most importantly, biological life and evolution emerges with the advanced faculty of cognition and perception, aka the ability to model external reality and thus provide collapse for quantum information all the way back to the early universe. So when a light wave from a star hits us that was emitted 5 million years ago, in some sense, we are contributing to that star's existence, and this is true of the early universe as well. In other words, physics gives rise to observer, and this is true of the very thing that created us, the teleologic evolution of the universe. So in other words, physics gives rise, it's a closed loop. Physics gives rise to observer participation gives rise to information, and information gives rise to physics. It's a closed loop again, allowing for the self-creation of the universe as an expression of its intrinsic teleology, which is to perceive itself, the self-identification, as Chris Langan says. Thusly, the constants of physics are intentionally adjusted by the universe in order to give rise to conscious perceivers. It has no other way to build law than out of the statistics of billions and bajillions of acts of such observer participancy by observer participants. These laws are then fine-tuned, of course, for the emergence of such observer participants. People say there could be a universe where life and consciousness just never emerge, but this is hogwash. There's basically no reason for such a universe to exist, so it won't exist. Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle takes this to its logical conclusion and says that the universe logically evolves to create humans or observer participants like humans and provides them with the maximum resources for its self-identification. So this is why Chris Langan says, despite all the evil and suffering, etc., this is the best of all possible universes because it provides us with the opportunity to model reality correctly and express its intrinsic teleology, and its teleology is that the universe needs something to identify with, which is why creation or the physical universe is necessary. It needs something separate from its essence by which it can recognize itself. As George Berkeley said, "Esse est percepi," to be is to be perceived. And yet, taking a step back, surely the universe up to the present moment, a critic might object to Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle, has not provided enough information to explain its own creation. But remember, it doesn't need to yet. It only needs to perceive itself in the future to give reality to the past. As Eric Weinstein shows geometrically, a 5D obserververse replaces 4D spacetime. As Niels Bohr says, a physicist is just an atom's way of looking at itself. Reality, as represented in the eye, in the top left corner of the self-excited circuit diagram, wants to see itself fully. In Platonic metaphysics, nous or mind is the light by which the one, or ultimate reality, sees itself. The I, therefore, can be identified with the whole, as well as all of the modus operandi of its existence and evolution. This is why Chris Langan defines reality as perception and all of the structure and explanatory information needed to explain it, so that reality is able to model itself objectively, which is essentially what perception is. It is the series of directed aims in creation coalesced to a monic identity, and therefore a stacked holonic structure of all observer participation that ever is, was, or will be, the structure of which is embedded at every point in space-time. Where that I is identified with a self-perceptual metaverse, it must be coupled with a constructive, creative intelligence in order to exist and evolve in its own essence. Mapping itself into reality through personality and sentience, it must itself be a self-aware person who can actualize their ends through free will and intrinsic self-determinacy. As Jonathan Pajot says, the image of the infinite is necessarily personal because this is our fundamental experience of reality. So this is why the guest I'm interviewing on Sunday, Tyler Goldstein, describes the totality of existence as a singularity of sentience creating additional sentient singularities within itself, where self-identification is the teleology of reality. Helping that teleology is our intrinsic purpose as well. Basically, we need to create positive good in the world such that reality can identify with that. And specifically, we must create the kind of good which allows for observer participants to survive and thrive well into the future. In short, the universe retroactively determines its structure through cross-temporal feedback of the quantum information supplied by sentient observer participants in order to optimize for its own self-identification. This is let's say, Chris Langan's extension of the participatory anthropic principle. When we realize our true identity as essential and logically necessary ingredients of reality, as images of God connected to the source of all knowledge and power, we will know that that is our purpose as well. The destiny of humankind is unstoppable. I have a video coming out soon I'm excited about called Guardians of the Logos, a philosophy of the future, where I'll show that all we need is a group of motivated and bright individuals fluent in the foundational language of reality, who are strong and capable and have the Logos on their tongue, those who will stand up against the parasites and the principalities of darkness and fight on behalf of the light of God, can save Western civilization and reclaim human destiny, because this is our intrinsic purpose as revealed by John Wheeler's participatory universe. As Margaret Mead says, never doubt that a small group of bright, motivated individuals can change the world. They're the only ones who ever have. Let the light shine forth in the darkness. May the peace of our Father in heaven be upon you. Like and subscribe. Peace.